Welcome everybody to a Baseball America in the Dugout video. I'm John Manuel, along with Pat Light of the Monmouth Hawks. Pat, we got a chance to see you in person last Friday down here in North Cackalack. We had some great weather, and you pitched really well against Wright State. So let's just dive right in with that first outing of the season. How often have you gone 7 innings in your first start? It just seemed like you guys were really ready to go from the get-go, both yourself and your team.
It's not common that a guy like me is able to go 7 innings in the first start, especially this early in the season. I mean, it's awesome to be able to do that, and we've been ready. This is the first spring ever since I've been at Monmouth to be able to get out on our field before my first start, which has been huge for us, being able to throw off an actual dirt mound instead of an inside mound. So I've been a little bit more ready than I have been in the past, and we were able to put together a good 7 innings, and it was great to see and great to feel for going into a big weekend this coming up weekend.
I think the one thing that really stood out for us watching it was that little bump in the second inning, but after that, the last 5 innings, you really commanded the bottom half of the strike zone. At least that was our observation. Talk about your ability to do that, what allowed you to do that, and just give our listeners who aren't that familiar with you a basic introduction to your pitch repertoire and what pitches you threw in that game.
Well, basically, the whole bottom half of the strike zone is something I've really worked on the past couple of years, because I feel like my first 2 years I kind of lived a little more, from the knee to the mid-thigh, which has kind of hurt me in the past. So, me and my pitching coach, Coach Jim, have really worked on, keeping on that bottom half of the strike zone, putting knees, and if I'm going to miss, make sure I miss low, don't miss up. So that was huge, and I felt really comfortable doing that, staying tall on the mound and be able to work downhill. Basic introduction to me and my pitches is basically fastball. I throw a 4-seam. I try to make it move as much as I can. And, with my slider, try to stay on top of it, move it downhill, make sure it's not one plane. And then I have my changeup, which is a split change. And it seemed to be really coming together for me, and, kind of have that 3-pitch mentality where people can't just sit on one pitch for me.
We really thought that, especially, again, going forward after the second inning, that your off speed, it seemed like you threw those pitches with a lot more confidence from innings 3 through 7. And they both had similar velocity, but the slider had a little bit more, obviously, left to right break or horizontal break and a little more vertical depth on your changeup. Is that kind of what you're aiming for with those 2 pitches?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I want that slider to kind of break down and away to righty, down and away from righties, and kind of down and in on lefties. And that changeup, I kind of want to just kind of make it so they think it's a fastball coming in there and just kind of drop off the table. So it worked really well for me. My first start, hopefully, it continues.
We're talking with Pat Light of Monmouth here on Baseball America in the Dugout. Pat, your first 2 seasons, you obviously had a lot of attention from scouts because you're tall and you throw hard. I guess the most attention you probably had was last summer in the Cape Cod League. Talk a little bit just about that experience in the Cape from a competition level standpoint and just kind of from the scrutiny. Just what's it like in general for a college sophomore going into your draft year? What's that pressure like in the Cape Cod League?
Well, obviously I didn't have the most successful first 2 years here at Monmouth, and going to the Cape Cod with the competition that you see, which is the best in the country, is it's a little bit of pressure on you, but you just kind of go out there and remind yourself it's just a game, it's baseball, and you've been doing it forever. So I just try to go out there and kind of pitch well, and with the competition and being in Chatham, it was awesome. It was a great experience, eye opener, because you don't realize you see all these guys on TV, and you don't really know how good they are and how well you compare up to them until you actually go play them, and that's what Cape kind of provided for me, and it was a great experience, and I would love to go back. Hopefully, I don't have to this year, but I wouldn't mind going back up there.
Now, Chatham, obviously, it's not a great movie, but everybody if you're a baseball fan, you've probably seen Summer Catch. Do you have to watch Summer Catch before you go up there and play for Coach Schiffner? And how many jokes about Summer Catch get made in a summer when you're playing for the Chatham Anglers?
There's infinite jokes made by Summer Catch when you go up there. Everyone's trying to pick out who's Freddie Prinze Jr. and it's awesome. But I watched it before I went up there with my parents, and it was I've seen it multiple times in my life. So it's not the best of movies,
right?
But it's enjoyable, and it kind of gets you ready for that mindset to go up there. And there's even some parts in the film that I now recognize from Chatham, which is like something like the roundabouts they have up there and stuff like that. So it was cool to have that movie going up there and play for Coach Schiff.
It's a fun movie to watch, and it's fun to see that they actually called him Coach Schiff. I think that's awesome. I think my only Cape experience has been a great barbecue at Schiff's house. after a game. That was my big positive experience besides a Cape All-Star game. Last thing, kind of what are the goals for you guys this year, both as a team? You guys look pretty solid this weekend. I like your second baseman with the high stirrups. His mom was following me on Twitter, which was awesome. But what are the team goals, and kind of what's your goals? Like you said, your first 2 years, you probably didn't have the success that you were looking for, especially when you went 20-0 in high school. Kind of talk a little bit about the goals that you have for yourself and for your Monmouth Hawks team going forward in 2012.
Well, some of the individual goals, just kind of improve on my last 2 seasons, kind of get to where I wanted to be, and team goals. It's basically win the NEC. We haven't done that since I've been here, and then win a regional. Finally, get that regional win that the NEC's been looking for and Monmouth's been looking for. And I think if I'm able to do that and we're able to do that as a team, I think it'd be a great year, obviously. And I think we have the team to do it. We got a lot of guys returning. We did lose some key guys, but I mean, we got some guys that filled in the roles, and you mentioned Jake Gronsky, our second baseman, is doing great. I think a bunch of our guys are looking really good, and I think if we just keep doing what we're doing and stay focused, not get too cocky, even though we're 3-0, it's still really early in the season, and we got a big matchup against UVA this weekend. And I think we just stay to the task, stay on target. I think we'll be fine.
We're big fans of your center fielder on that team as well, Josh Boyd, because one of our former staff members was named Josh Boyd. He's now the director of professional scouting for the Texas Rangers. Obviously done a pretty good job over there since the Rangers have gone to the World Series back-to-back years. Does he wear a sock on one of his arms? What is that thing he has on his arm?
Yes, him and J.B. Rosencrantz, who's our right fielder, they had a sleeve, and they had the idea, I think, about 3 or 4 days before we went out to our first weekend in Cary to cut the sock and make it their sleeve. And I mean, hey, they're hitting the ball. I love it. So I'm gonna let I have nothing to say. Keep doing it.
Absolutely. And Gronsky wears the high stirrups. He looks like a mid '80s big leaguer. Are you gonna rock the stirrups like that, or do you go a little bit more modern?
I'm definitely not a stirrup guy. I mean, the first time I ever wore pants up in my life was this year in Chatham. So I'm not a stirrup guy. I'll let Jake do that. But he looks good out there. He's hitting the ball great. So do whatever works, man.
Impressive weekend, both for you. It was really good to see you pitch well. I've got a bet. You're on our bet board with me and Aaron Fitt about how you go in the draft. I won't spoil it, but I'm very confident I'm going to win that after watching you Friday. So continued success to you, Pat, and continued success to the Monmouth Hawks. And look forward to seeing you down the line, both here on Skype and just in person on the field. Really enjoyed you taking the time today.
Thank you. Anytime.
Pat Light of the Monmouth Hawks. I'm John Manuel on another Baseball America Inside the Dugout.